single melon can cost as much as 12 troy ounces of gold, or a box of grapes as expensive as 10 iPhone 17 Pro Max devices. You're not hearing things. This is the elite tier of the fruit world, where value isn't defined solely by taste, but also by perfection, rarity, and the luxurious stories behind each piece. As human needs go beyond simply eating to feel full, evolving toward refinement and status in cuisine, it is people, together with the most advanced cultivation technologies, who have created these living masterpieces that surpass all natural standards. In today's video, let's join Agriculture Insight as we step into the high-end world of fruit to uncover the secrets behind some of the most luxurious fruits on the planet. What's the highest price ever paid for something that simply goes from mouth to stomach? All will be revealed right now. At our first stop, we arrive in Yubari, Japan, a city that once went bankrupt after the collapse of its coal industry, yet found new life through an agricultural miracle known as the Yubari King. More than just a fruit, the Yubari King is regarded as a symbol of perfection, where each melon is the result of nearly 100 days of care with almost absolute precision. Its price has reached up to $45,000 for a pear, not simply due to rarity, but because it represents craftsmanship, reputation, and Japan's culture of luxury gift-giving. In Yubari, more than 150 hectares of modern greenhouses operate like laboratories to produce agricultural masterpieces, generating over $20 million each year. Everything begins with exceptionally selective seeds. To create perfect melons, growers use premium hybrid varieties refined over multiple generations, placed in sterile seed trays where every factor from nutrients and humidity to temperature is tightly controlled at each stage of development. After about a week, seedlings begin to form. But even at this early stage, a quiet selection process is already underway. Any plants that fail to meet the standards are removed, because the goal is not quantity, but to find the single most perfect specimen. It doesn't stop there. Unlike ordinary cantaloupes, Yubari melons don't lie on the ground. They are cultivated in closed greenhouses. When the young plants reach about 30 to 40 centimeters in height, farmers begin training the vines to climb upward, securing them vertically and pruning excess branches so the plant can focus its growth. As the fruit develops, it hangs suspended on trellises at a height of around 1 to 1.5 meters, never touching the ground. This prevents pressure or deformation, allowing the melon to grow into an almost perfectly round shape, one of the key factors behind the value of Yubari melons. When the first flowers bloom, farmers use their hands or a soft brush to transfer pollen from the male flowers to the female ones, carefully monitoring and selecting the best fruiting position on the vine. Each plant is allowed to keep only a single fruit. All others are removed to concentrate nutrients on nurturing one perfect candidate, worthy of the title King of Japanese Melons. Over the next 60-80 days, the melons are almost entirely hand-cared for. Farmers gently rotate and massage the fruit daily, adjust its exposure to light, clean the rind, and inspect each raised net pattern to achieve an almost perfectly spherical shape. In the final stage of development, each melon is also fitted with a special paper cap to prevent sunburn and maintain an even color before harvest. Around 100 days after planting, farmers use a thin, specialized knife to gently cut the stem into the signature T-shape. The melons are then left hanging briefly before being collected in batches. The entire process is carried out with extreme care and precision to avoid any impact, as even the slightest force can affect the fruit's quality and value. However, the journey of the melon doesn't end there. With a texture almost as soft as cream, Yubari King cannot be transported like ordinary melons. Even the slightest vibration must be carefully controlled to preserve the quality of its flesh. Each melon is handled with exceptional care. Wrapped in soft protective paper, placed in an individual cushioned box, labeled with a certificate of origin, and then packed according to strict standards to prevent any movement during transit. Every detail of the packaging is designed to maintain the fruit's perfect condition from the moment it leaves the greenhouse to when it reaches the buyer. The finest specimens are then brought to the season's first auction, a symbolic local ritual, much like the opening tuna auction at Toyosu Market. As one of the most expensive fruits in the world, the flavor of Yubari melon is truly exceptional, smooth and velvety, almost melting the moment it touches the tongue. Its sweetness is delicate yet deep, spreading slowly and accompanied by a refined aroma reminiscent of cream and honey, a sensation rarely found in any other melon. Rather than being eaten like ordinary fruit, Yubari melons are typically sliced thinly, much like Wagyu, turning the experience into a ritual rather than a simple meal. In some high-end menus, they are even paired with caviar or used in premium desserts, such as mousse and millefeuille, where their sweetness is elevated into a sophisticated culinary experience. If Yubari melons are the symbol of Hokkaido, then Sato Nishiki cherries are the calling card of summer in Yamagata, the cherry kingdom of Japan, producing nearly 70% of the country's cherries. To maintain that status from the very beginning of spring, Sato Nishiki cherry trees are not allowed to grow freely, but are instead cultivated almost like outdoor bonsai. Each branch is trained on trellises, oriented toward optimal sunlight and carefully height-controlled, because even slight misalignment with the light can reduce the value of an entire cluster from the earliest days of the season. But the real challenge appears just 2 to 3 weeks after blooming. Sato Nishiki cherries are almost incapable of effective self-pollination. As a result, orchards must introduce seasonally rented bees, sometimes up to 10,000 to 20,000 per hectare, to ensure that every small flower has the chance to become a perfect cherry. And when harvest season arrives around June each year, while many cherry orchards in the United States use powerful trunk-shaking machines to harvest entire crops within minutes, Sato Nishiki orchards still rely entirely on hand-picking over the course of several weeks. Not due to a lack of technology, but because the cherry stems are so delicate that even the slightest force can immediately affect the fruit's quality. First, farmers spread waterproof plastic sheets on the ground around the base of the cherry trees to keep the harvesting area clean and to protect any fruit that might accidentally fall, preventing direct contact with the soil. At the same time, these sheets make it easier to spot and collect the cherries, ensuring that the delicate skin remains unscathed. Once this is done, pickers use low ladders to reach each cluster at the ideal height, gently lifting each cherry from the branch with almost a single touch, because even the lightest contact can cause the fruit to fall short of premium gift standards. The moment it leaves the branch, the journey of a luxury known as Sato Nishiki cherries truly begins. Each fruit is placed into grading molds, inspected for color, size, and gloss, then arranged into individual slots in trays before being boxed, a process that resembles packaging high-end watches more than handling fruit. This strict selection means that over 70% of the yield is discarded during sorting, with only the most perfect cherries retained, where their deep sweetness creates the near-perfect flavor profile of premium Japanese cherries. Sato Nishiki cherries are not just fruit, but a ritualized summer gift in Japan, where carefully selected early-season boxes can reach up to $300, because each cherry is the result of precise care and rigorous selection throughout the entire growing season. At the next stop, let's head to Thailand, the king of durian, with over 1 million tons exported each year. But the prestige of Thai durian lies not only in its volume, but also in premium Nong durians that have been auctioned for up to $20,000. And despite the extraordinary price, thousands of people around the world are still willing to spend huge sums just to challenge themselves with one of the most controversial fruits on the planet. From May to August each year, during the peak of the tropical summer heat, Thailand's durian harvest season officially begins. With Nong durians, harvesting is almost like a high-stakes game. When the fruit is ready, farmers use knives attached to long poles to cut the stems. But with trees reaching heights of 20 to 30 meters, things become far more dramatic. One person climbs the tree while another stays below, holding nets or sacks to catch the fruit, working together almost like a professional catching team, because a single misstep can mean losing a fortune hanging in the air. Once they leave the orchard, Nong durians rarely appear in ordinary markets or enter mass processing lines. Instead, they are often sent directly to fruit festivals, showcased at high-end banquets, and gradually become a symbol of status and prestige. Leaving the durian orchards of Thailand behind, we arrive at Oishi Strawberry Farms in the heart of New York, home to some of the most expensive strawberries in the United States. For most of agricultural history, strawberries have always been a story of soil, rain, and bees. But at Oishi Farms, that story has been completely rewritten. Here, strawberries don't grow in soil. They grow in multi-layered vertical indoor farms that operate more like semiconductor factories. No rain, no pests, no contaminated soil, and no need for bees. Pollination is carried out by robots, precise and consistent, like a semiconductor production line. Temperature, humidity, and lighting are controlled hour by hour, simulating ideal growing conditions that nature can rarely maintain consistently. Beyond that, rotating growing racks, integrated with LED lighting, operate 24/7, continuously adjusting so that each plant receives the same optimal amount of light. But the most impressive moment comes in winter, when robots begin the harvest. They don't see through human intuition, they read the plants through data. The machines move along rails between the strawberry rows at a steady speed to avoid vibration. Computer vision cameras scan each cluster, analyzing color, gloss, and size to identify perfectly ripe fruit with over 90% accuracy. In an instant, a robotic arm adjusts its angle, cleanly cuts the stem, and places the strawberry into an individual tray, like handling delicate electronic components. After harvesting, each strawberry is transferred to a quality-controlled packaging area, where even the smallest imperfections are removed. The result is glossy red fruit with an intense aroma, deep sweetness, and a juiciness far beyond ordinary strawberries, almost melting the moment it touches the tongue. So what makes Oishi strawberries so much more expensive than regular ones? It's not just the technology, but the cost of maintaining a perfect ecosystem in the heart of expensive New York. From the energy required for LED systems and environmental control to the machinery, operations, and extremely low yield, each strawberry is the product of cost, time, and near-perfect precision. People often think only heads of state or billion-dollar diamonds require security escorts. But deep beneath the forest soil of Europe, there exists a delicacy that has been flown to New York by private jet with its own security team and sold at auction for up to $61,000. That is truffle, the mysterious king of the fine dining world. What makes truffle so expensive is not just its rarity, but its incredibly controversial aroma. It contains a compound called 2,4-dithiopentane, also found in the smell of damp socks or body odor. Yet when blended with dozens of other natural compounds, it transforms into a signature scent that fascinates connoisseurs, almost like an addictive, invisible luxury. There are over 200 species of truffle worldwide, but only a small number are considered truly exceptional. The most famous among them are Italian white truffle and French black truffle. To find them, hunters don't carry radar or modern scanners, but dogs worth up to $10,000. When they catch the scent of truffles, the dogs stop, circle to, lock onto the target, then gently scratch the ground with their front paws, just enough to reveal the location without damaging the fungus. In the past, female pigs were used as they are naturally attracted to the scent of truffles, which resembles the pheromones of male pigs. Sounds perfect until one problem became clear. Once pigs found them, they ate them. Because of their extreme rarity and high value, humans have attempted to domesticate truffles. However, only black truffles can be cultivated with some degree of consistency. White truffles, the most expensive variety, remain almost impossible to farm, forcing humans to rely entirely on nature. Japanese Fuji apples, often up to 3 times larger than typical industrial apples, are known for their crisp texture, rich sweetness, and juiciness. So much so that every bite feels like tasting a spoonful of concentrated honey. They are a source of pride for Japan's apple industry, generating at least $2 billion annually from both domestic sales and exports. To secure this special position in the global apple market, Japanese farmers must follow a series of strict and meticulous cultivation processes, paying attention to even the smallest details. Let's begin the search for answers in Aomori, the apple capital of Japan. Every April, farmers carefully hand-pollinate individual apple blossoms to optimize the fruit setting rate and ensure it is as high and uniform as possible. By early summer, when young apples have just begun to form, each fruit is wrapped in paper bags to completely isolate it from pests, while protecting the skin so it remains smooth and blemish-free. Throughout the growing process, farmers continuously thin the fruit, rotate the apples, and adjust their exposure to sunlight so that every apple can develop the most perfect size and color possible. After about 5 to 6 months of care and patience, Fuji apples reach their ideal ripeness, signaling the start of the harvest season. This stage is carried out entirely by hand to minimize losses and reduce any potential bruising. Farmers gently twist each apple once to detach it from the branch, while keeping the stem intact. It is precisely this meticulous attention to even the smallest details that has turned Aomori into Japan's apple empire, contributing around 60% of the nation's total apple production, with more than 450,000 tons harvested each year. But the Japanese always find ways to amaze the world with unusual and highly creative innovations, even in agriculture. Japanese snow apples are one such remarkable product, created through a small, yet incredibly refined technique. Right in Aomori, Japan's apple capital, instead of harvesting apples at the usual time around October to November, some orchards deliberately leave the fruit on the trees until December, when hundreds of hectares of orchards begin to be covered in snow. This method is called Yuki Ringo. Its principle is quite simple, but extremely effective. As temperatures drop and snow blankets the orchards, the apple's metabolic processes slow down. The water content gradually decreases while the natural sugars become more concentrated. The thick layer of snow acts as a natural insulator, preventing the fruit from completely freezing and instead cold aging it right on the tree. As a result, Yuki Ringo apples develop a richer sweetness, a more pronounced aroma, and a crisp texture that stands out compared to ordinary apples. Meanwhile, in regions with extremely heavy snowfall, such as Niigata, where snow can pile up more than 2 to 3 meters deep during the peak of winter, the Japanese take advantage of nature itself as a massive, completely free cold storage system. After being harvested at the end of autumn, the apples are packed into wooden crates or specialized plastic containers and transported to natural snowfields located near the orchards. There, farmers arrange the crates in clusters either directly on the ground or inside compacted snow pits prepared in advance. On top of the crates, farmers place a thick layer of conifer branches, such as pine or cedar, creating a natural insulating cushion that also allows air to circulate. The entire area is then buried under several meters of snow. In some cases, specialized snow-blowing vehicles add extra layers of snow to reinforce the mound, forming a stable natural cold storage chamber. With temperatures staying close to 0 degrees Celsius and fluctuating very little, the apples can be preserved for months, while maintaining their crisp texture, moisture, and fresh flavor. Long after the main apple season has ended, these snow-aged apples finally reach the market as a premium early spring delicacy, often selling for up to 3 times the price of ordinary Fuji apples. Many people describe Japan as another planet on Earth, a place where seemingly impossible ideas work flawlessly and create enormous value. A striking example is the square watermelon. Forced out of its natural shape to optimize storage and transport, yet sold as a luxury display item for up to $800, dozens of times more expensive than a regular round watermelon. Everything begins with a young melon, no larger than a fist, placed inside a transparent, tempered glass mold secured with sturdy steel latches and bolts. Japanese farmers monitor the fruit's growth pressure every day, adjusting the tightness of the frame to ensure the melon gradually expands and fills the square corners of the mold without cracking. At the same time, each fruit is wrapped in paper to limit direct sunlight, helping the rind maintain an even green color and perfectly straight stripes. After about 45 days, earlier than the usual harvest time for regular watermelons, farmers begin harvesting. Only melons that fit the mold perfectly, with flawless surfaces free of scratches or cracks, are classified as premium grade. In Zantsuji City, Kagawa Prefecture, the number of melons that meet this standard each year is only around 200, all of which receive an exclusive certification label before entering the final stage of luxury packaging. Because they develop in a way that goes against nature, these square watermelons, despite their striking and unusual appearance, offer a flavor that is merely edible. Their true value lies not in sweetness, but in their one-of-a-kind geometric shape. If there is a Japanese delicacy that diners are said to risk their lives to taste, it is pufferfish, a species that contains tetrodotoxin, a poison about 1,000 times more potent than cyanide and with no known antidote. Yet in Shimonoseki, a port city in Yamaguchi Prefecture, around 1,000 tons of pufferfish are traded each year, making it the largest pufferfish distribution hub in the world. Most of the catch is brought to the Heitomari Fugu market, a marketplace believed to be the only one in the world dedicated almost entirely to this dangerous fish. Here, auctions take place in an unusual silence using a unique bidding method known as fukubiki. Instead of announcing prices publicly, traders hide their hands inside a black cloth sleeve and signal bids with their fingers, ensuring that the agreed price between buyer and seller remains completely confidential. Notably, high-quality pufferfish weighing between 1 and 2 kilograms can reach auction prices of up to $100 right on the trading floor. Few people know that to even touch this deadly fish, a chef in Japan must undergo 2 to 3 years of rigorous training. After that, they must pass a strict licensing exam with a very low pass rate to receive an official government permit. In specialized high-end restaurants such as Waras in Tokyo, where even prime ministers are known to dine, the preparation process resembles a precision surgical operation. A master chef can complete the delicate filleting process in about 10 minutes. First, chefs completely isolate the safe white flesh from the parts that contain extremely potent toxins, such as the skin, liver, internal organs, and ovaries. What's important to note is that these parts cannot simply be discarded as ordinary waste. They must be sealed in locked metal containers and disposed of through hazardous waste procedures under the supervision of health authorities, preventing any risk of accidental exposure. Finally, the fish meat is sliced so thin that it becomes nearly translucent, then arranged as sashimi to highlight its distinctive, firm, and springy texture. If 50 years ago, Japan recorded more than 100 deaths each year from pufferfish poisoning, today that number has fallen to around 3 people. And all cases involve individuals attempting to prepare the fish themselves at home. That's why the $200 to $500 you pay for a pufferfish meal is not just for its delicate, refined flavor, but for the absolute safety ensured by the mastery of highly trained chefs. With prices that can reach up to 10 times that of premium Wagyu beef, sea urchin, known as uni, is often described as the pure gold of the ocean, where the soft, creamy lobes hidden inside a spiky shell hold enormous economic value. While many countries harvest sea urchins using industrial fishing fleets and large-scale scuba diving systems, Japan still preserves a tradition that dates back more than 1,000 years. Hand harvesting by the ama, female free divers capable of descending to depths of up to 20 meters without using oxygen tanks. In cold, fast-moving waters such as those around Hokkaido, the ama must immerse themselves in seas only a few degrees above freezing, weaving through underwater rock reefs to collect sea urchins tightly wedged into narrow crevices. On average, during a single diving session, an ama gathers only a few dozen specimens that meet the required standard. A modest yield, but one that reflects an uncompromising commitment to quality. Once brought ashore, the processing of sea urchins becomes a test of almost absolute precision. The spiny shell is carefully opened entirely by hand to extract the 5 golden reproductive lobes inside. Because uni has an extremely delicate structure that can easily melt when exposed to warm air or fresh water, workers must move with great speed while keeping their hands perfectly steady. They then gently rinse the uni with pure seawater to preserve the fine strands of flesh on the surface while maintaining the natural dryness of the meat. In particular, only uni lobes with a bright golden orange color, a smooth, firm surface, and perfect dryness are graded as top quality. At Toyosu Market in Tokyo, premium trays of uni weighing just 250 grams can fetch between $400 and $800. Making sea urchin one of the most valuable seafood products in the world when measured by weight. Leaving the rocky reefs behind, the massive 2-kilometer-long trawl net you see is designed to trap flying fish, a species capable of gliding through the air at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour to escape predators. Taking advantage of ocean currents where the schools gather most densely, fishermen deploy the nets deep beneath the sea before quickly closing the circle. Once the net tightens, powerful pulley systems haul tons of fish onto the deck. The moment they reach the boat, the catch is immediately buried in ice at temperatures close to 0 degrees Celsius to lock in freshness, an essential step that preserves the purity of the fish's flesh and prevents decomposition from the instant it leaves the sea. It is from this point that the value of Japanese flying fish rises dramatically through the yakiago process, grilled and dried flying fish. After cleaning, the fish are arranged on racks and slowly grilled for about 3 hours to remove any fishy odor, while concentrating their natural umami flavor. They are then sun-dried and further dehydrated with warm air for several days until the texture becomes firm and almost rock-like. From every 10 kilograms of fresh fish, only about 2 to 3 kilograms remain after grilling and drying. In return, the natural sweetness and umami are intensely concentrated. Just a few pieces of yakiago are enough to create a deeply flavorful dashi broth, the foundation of many premium ramen bowls. At the next stop, let us head to the Aegean region of Turkey, the center of the global dried fig industry. From fig trees thousands of years old, the country controls up to 60% of the world's dried fig market, with export values reaching 250 million USD per year. In the Aegean region, where summer temperatures frequently exceed 40 degrees Celsius and dry Mediterranean winds blow continuously, Sarlap figs, the leading golden fig variety in the global dried fig industry, self-concentrate directly on the tree. Water evaporates slowly while sugars are retained within the fruit tissue, creating a stable, chewy texture and authentic flavor, an advantage that artificial heat drying struggles to replicate due to excessively rapid moisture removal. However, this very mechanism of natural dehydration creates the greatest harvesting challenge: asynchronous ripening. On the same branch, each fig reaches a different level of dryness from day to day, forcing more than 30,000 farming households in Aden to remain constantly present in their orchards throughout the harvest season. Harvesters use long poles to gently tap the branches. Only figs that have reached the standard dryness threshold naturally detach from the stem and fall onto nets, while fruits that are still moist remain on the tree to complete the concentration process. This method not only protects the thin, easily damaged skin, but also acts as an on-site moisture control step, reducing early risks of mold and microbial growth from the moment of harvest. Building on this level of control, the crucial drying stage is carried out based on the principle of natural convection, rather than cold drying technologies used by Americans for the Mission black fig variety. The figs are spread evenly on raised wooden racks for 3 to 5 days, allowing bidirectional airflow to remove moisture uniformly from the core to the skin. Once moisture levels fall to a safe threshold, the concentrated sugar content becomes sufficient to naturally inhibit microbial growth, enabling the figs to maintain stable quality for up to 12 months without the use of chemical preservatives. To meet export standards, the figs are sent directly to processing facilities for cleaning and standardization. The process begins with mechanical screening on vibrating conveyor belts, where broken figs, foreign materials, and undersized fruits are removed, leaving only uniform and intact figs to proceed to subsequent processing stages. After being cleaned and dried, the figs are hand-sorted by skilled workers. Only the finest fruits earn the tender and juicy label, certifying a soft skin, syrupy interior, and an ideal moisture level of around 24%, delivering a naturally concentrated sweetness. Finally, qualified figs are fed into vibrating hoppers and automatic weighing systems before packaging, helping preserve their soft, juicy structure and limit moisture reabsorption or oxidation throughout transportation. Highbush blueberries, accounting for up to 80% of global production, have become the star of the industry thanks to their ability to ripen uniformly, enabling large-scale mechanized harvesting. Every June, Oxbow steel giants begin their deployment across farms stretching from Oregon to Washington, USA. Their distinctive arched frame design allows the machines to envelop entire rows of bushes, moving through dense canopies without the need for cleared pathways. At the heart of the system is a dual-axis shaking unit capable of interpreting ripeness. By precisely adjusting vibration frequencies, the machine detaches only berries that have reached optimal sugar levels, leaving unripe fruit untouched. With a capacity of up to 400 kg per bin, this technology enables large-scale farms to operate 24/7, sustaining outputs of tens of tons per day. The first step in the process, and also the critical stage that determines the quality of frozen blueberries, is washing. Upon entering the plant, the blueberries are passed through a recirculated cold water washing system, combined with air bubbling and gentle water flow to remove dirt, dry leaves, and residual debris from mechanical harvesting. The entire operation is designed to minimize impact on the fruit surface, as blueberry skins are very thin and prone to cracking under high pressure. After being washed with purified water, all blueberries enter the optical sorting stage. Here, multispectral cameras scan each berry in 360 degrees, analyzing color, shape, and surface damage in real time. Any berries that fail to meet color standards or show bruising or tissue cracking are immediately removed by high-speed air jets without mechanical contact. Only berries that are round, plump, and highly uniform are retained as qualified raw material, ensuring consistency in quality, structure, and sensory characteristics from the very first control stage. Once the sorting process is complete, all blueberries are transferred to the heart of the plant, the individual quick freezing (IQF) system. The key to a frozen blueberry retaining its original character after thawing lies in freezing speed. Instead of conventional slow freezing, which can cause clumping and juice leakage, blueberries are passed through a freezing chamber with temperatures dropping to -40°C. In this environment, each berry is kept suspended by powerful streams of cold air, allowing it to freeze almost instantly and remain completely separate. This process not only locks in the fruit's cellular structure, but also freezes in the full content of anthocyanins, responsible for the deep purple color, and vitamins, the valuable antioxidants that define blueberries as a superfood. For most American children, raisins are seen as the most disappointing chocolate imposter on Halloween night. Yet behind this humble snack, a billion-dollar industry is operating at full force in California's San Joaquin Valley, producing up to 95% of the United States raisin output and accounting for 1/3 of global supply. To meet this massive demand, the OVD, dry-on-vine method, was developed and quickly became the most widely adopted standard in modern raisin production. Grapes are planted in straight rows with spacing and canopy height standardized for mechanized harvesting, supported by open trellis systems that allow grape clusters to hang freely and achieve optimal exposure to air circulation and sunlight. When the grapes reach physiological maturity, with high sugar content, approximately 20 to 24 degrees Brix, farmers cut the nutrient-supplying stem. From that moment on, the grape clusters no longer receive water or nutrients and begin to dry gradually on the vine, transforming the ripening process into a controlled natural drying process. After approximately 6 to 8 weeks, an entire vineyard that was once full of fresh grapes is transformed into rows of dried grape clusters hanging across the trellis, uniform in both moisture level and sugar concentration. That is also when specialized shaking harvesters, the familiar giants of California's raisin vineyards, enter the fields to carry out the final stage. The machines move slowly along the grape rows, using a system of flexible shaking rods that act precisely on the trunk and canes, strong enough to detach the fruit without damaging the vine structure. The dried grapes fall onto collection trays, are carried by conveyor belts into storage bins, while leaves and light debris are removed directly on the machine. Once the harvest is complete, all dried grapes are transported to the factory within just a few hours. Time at this stage is a critical factor, determining quality stability, the ability to control microbial activity, and the final commercial value of the product. After leaving the fields, raisins are received at processing plants and quickly fed into the processing line. In the first step, the raisins are poured onto vibrating conveyors and destemming drums, where dry stems and leaves are separated, while stones, soil, and large foreign materials left from mechanical harvesting are removed. Next comes the most critical stage, dry cleaning. The raisins pass through rotating drums, soft brushes, and high-pressure air-blowing systems, which thoroughly remove fine dust and surface contaminants without using water, preventing the risk of moisture reabsorption and loss of storage stability. Some plants may wash the raisins using low-pressure spray nozzles for a very short duration after dry cleaning. Immediately afterward, the raisins are dried instantly using hot air or forced airflow to prevent water uptake and microbial activation. In the next step, the raisins undergo optical sorting using color cameras and sensors, automatically removing moldy, sunburned, overly dry, or discolored berries, ensuring uniform sensory quality. Finally, the qualified raisins are weighed and packaged for retail or packed in bulk containers depending on the intended use and export market. A standard bee colony can reach a population of up to 60,000 individuals, living in wooden hives arranged in clusters and operating as a living ecosystem, where all activities are tightly synchronized with the species' natural biological rhythm. To bring a bee colony into royal jelly production, beekeepers must first activate the logistics force, young worker bees. This is the only group capable of secreting royal jelly, nourished with a diet of pollen mixed with honey, containing approximately 20 to 30% protein, which directly stimulates the development of the hypopharyngeal glands responsible for jelly production. As natural floral resources fluctuate seasonally, the diet is further supplemented with finely ground plant-based protein to maintain stable jelly secretion throughout the production cycle. During this phase, beekeepers are required to frequently monitor the colony by lifting frames out of the hive. Smoke from dried leaves or sawdust is used to create the illusion of a fire, distracting the bees and forcing them to temporarily suspend defensive responses in order to focus on consuming honey. Each hive opening thus becomes a brief negotiation, demanding absolute finesse and precision, unless one is prepared to immediately pay the price with a few stings. Naturally, specialized protective armor is indispensable, as even the most experienced beekeepers are never permitted to be complacent when facing a colony in a heightened state of alert. Only when the population reaches peak condition in numbers, nutrition, and behavioral stability is the foundation for queen rearing truly complete. From this point onward, all resources are channeled toward a single individual, and the process of selecting the queen officially begins. The next step, and also the most critical stage of the entire process, is creating a queenless condition. Beekeepers typically remove the queen from the colony, mark her, and keep her separately in a protective cage for control. The absence of the queen immediately triggers the colony's survival response, forcing worker bees to prepare for the rise of a new queen. This is the golden moment that initiates the royal jelly production cycle. In nature, when a bee colony becomes queenless, worker bees select young female larvae and secrete royal jelly to nourish these potential candidates, ultimately choosing only a single larva to become the new queen. This decisive stage lasts for up to 72 hours. The selected larva continues to feed on royal jelly for life, while the remaining larvae are deprived of royal jelly, switch to consuming honey and pollen, and develop into worker bees. It is precisely this brief 72-hour biological window that humans have leveraged to create a controlled royal jelly production process, beginning at the larval grafting stage. Worker bees no longer need to select larvae themselves, as this process has already been intervened and directed by humans. Only honeybee larvae that are 1 to 2 days old, still extremely small and curved at the bottom of regular brood cells, are selected because this is the stage at which the bee's developmental pathway can still be altered. Beekeepers use a specialized grafting tool with a soft, flat plastic tip to gently lift the larva along with the thin layer of surrounding jelly, avoiding damage to its fragile body. The larva is then placed into an artificial queen cup, small cups molded from beeswax or food-grade plastic that precisely replicate the shape of natural queen cells. Once larval grafting is completed, hundreds of queen cups are placed into the hive simultaneously, forcing worker bees to secrete royal jelly at a high intensity to feed all the larvae inside and quickly identify a new queen. This stage is when worker bees produce the greatest amount of royal jelly, with the thickest consistency and the highest concentration of active compounds. If left longer, the larvae begin to grow rapidly and consume the jelly, causing both the quantity and quality of the royal jelly to decline. After the 72-hour golden window, the harvesting process officially begins. The queen cups are removed from the hive and thoroughly cleaned to eliminate debris, pollen, or excess wax on the surface. Beekeepers begin the harvest by cutting the caps of the queen cups, an operation that may appear simple but directly determines the quality of the final product. A thin, sharp, and sterilized blade is drawn horizontally across the rim of each cup, making a decisive cut that touches only the thin wax layer on top, just enough to open the cup without disturbing the royal jelly inside. A single cut made too deeply can mix wax into the jelly, disrupt its natural structure, and immediately reduce its quality. In large-scale production, any cups contaminated with wax must be completely discarded. For this reason, the process demands a steady hand, precise control of force, and years of experience, where every movement allows no margin for error. Next, the larvae are gently removed from the queen cups using fine tweezers, with movements that must be fast, precise, and controlled to preserve the layer of royal jelly beneath. At this stage, the larvae are extremely small, soft-bodied, and fully immersed in the jelly, meaning that even a slight hesitation or misalignment can disrupt the jelly's structure or introduce contamination. For experienced beekeepers, this step demands near total concentration, as each cup contains only a tiny amount of royal jelly and allows no margin for error. To obtain 1 kilogram of royal jelly, at least 2,000 queen cups must be processed, which also means that the same number of larvae are removed from the developmental cycle. This reality raises an inevitable question: is this process inhumane? In nature, worker bees also continuously create and eliminate surplus queen cells in order to select a single queen. Human intervention merely controls the timing and scale of this process, rather than introducing a new biological behavior. Moreover, these larvae are not discarded. They are often repurposed as protein-rich food, used as ingredients in high-grade animal feed, or consumed in certain Asian markets, helping reduce biological waste and complete the value cycle of royal jelly production. Meanwhile, the thick, milky white substance settled at the bottom of each queen cup is royal jelly, a rare biological essence produced to nourish the queen of the hive. The jelly is extracted directly using specialized spoons or suction tools, with slow but decisive movements to minimize exposure to air, light, and heat, as even slight deviations can reduce its biological activity. For experienced beekeepers, this step demands near absolute concentration. Each queen cup yields only a few drops of jelly, and any mistake is irreversible. Royal jelly is expensive, not only because it is difficult to harvest, but also due to its unique nutritional profile. Specific proteins, the rare fatty acid 10-HDA scarcely found elsewhere in nature, concentrated B-complex vitamins, and numerous bioactive compounds that are still not fully understood. It is this combination of exceptional biological value, extremely low yield, and a highly labor-intensive process that makes royal jelly one of the most luxurious substances derived from nature. After a harvest cycle is completed, beekeepers graft new larvae and return the queen cups to the hive, beginning the next 72-hour cycle. This process can be repeated multiple times, but only takes place during the peak flowering season, when the colony is at its strongest. At the same time, strict limits are always observed. Colonies are rotated, the number of consecutive cycles is restricted, and bees are allowed to rest outside the flowering season. If these biological thresholds are exceeded, the colony will quickly weaken, something no professional beekeeper would ever allow. And when the flowering season comes to an end, Tons of fresh royal jelly are collected, cold stored, and rapidly transported to modern facilities, where they are processed into dietary supplements in the form of capsules, powders, or concentrated liquids.